Okay, here's my disclaimer. Any shit that I might say might be related to other shit is not true. This is purely work of shit. Bullshit. Everything I say is bullshit and not related to anything that is copyrighted. Everything is either parody, fiction, or whatever bullshit that is bullshit. This is a disclaimer of bullshit because everything I say in this video, from the beginning to the end, is bullshit. This is my bullshit disclaimer. Everything I say in this video is bullshit. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Now, on to the wonderful story. I mean, the spam following it, or before it, is not bullshit. That stuff's legit. That stuff's licensed. But I entered an agreement, blah, 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 blah. That's not bullshit. But anything that you see with my face, mouth moving, that's bullshit. Okay. That's my bullshit disclaimer. Hopefully I got that clarified. Clarity enough. On to the story of Little Harry and the Lumpers. Part 1. Okay, let me recap. In the world of lumperdom, there were these lumpers. They were like human centipedes. Not like the human centipedoids, excuse me. They had segmented bodies, not like a certain televised event. They were tall, they had lumps, not segments, they were called lumps. Out of these lumps came arms. These lumpers, they were engineers, they were carpenters, they were peaceful, they were loving, they were respected, they were the dominant species of the planet because they were respected. And also those of the lesser species knew that if they fucked with the lumpers, these lumpers would become warlike and dominate those species through iron will and force rather than respect. Then the dead men came. The dead men were originally from the planet Earth. They were clones. They were clones of humans. Human clones. Not like a certain clone battle related to something else, or a clone feud, or a clone disagreement, or a clone this, or a clone that. If your name is George, fuck you. To a certain George. Anywho, these clones who weren't called clones. They were called dead men because they were cannon fodder, meant to die by the thousands, of millions, of billions, of trillions. Basically, they sent these clones out in motherships to clusterfuck by the God, who knows how many numbers. Just overwhelming force and just dominate and enslave all other species that could be used as slaves and labor to build this, that, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they came, made war with the lumpers. They didn't know that the lumpers they figured that the lumpers were peace-loving, that therefore easy to dominate. They were wrong. Lumpers had a great war known as the Great Lumper War of Lumperdom. They went from engineers, they used their tools, they used tools to make weapons like swords, guns, knives, firearms, laser weapons, whatever weapons, tank weapons, bazooka weapons, eyeglass weapons, whatever. Dead men had like weapons. I mean, a lot of them were mages, a lot of them were demon summoners, a lot of them drove tanks, a lot of them drove helicopters. A lot of them drove submarines, a lot of them drove torpedoes, a lot of them drove vacuum cleaners that shot torpedoes and flamethrowers. There were a lot of robots too, but for the most part, just clones, because clones were easier to manufacture. These clones had ships. And on these ships were these things called multiplier machines. It's basically a dead man would step into this multiplier machine and zap, there'd be 5 more of them in half a second. Yeah. Scary as shit, right? Half a second, you got 5 men from 1. Another half second, you got 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. That quickly adds up. These multiplier machines were ultimately the deciding factor that led to the defeat of the lumpers. Lumpers were all but annihilated, genocided, wiped out. There's only 4 of them left. An adolescent lumper of 14 years stands 6'2", around 200 pounds, 250 pounds. Muscular, 4 or 5 arms. A war lumper wields a wide variety of melee weapons and a few firearms. He usually has a weapon that he uses in his uppermost arm that's his main weapon. 4 lumpers were left. An adult lumper stood... Oh, they were mammal. Not mammal as an animal, a mammal, but, you know, humanoid mammal. Sort of a weird schism. Jism. Wisdom, I don't know, whatever. An adult lumper, either male or female, stood about 20 feet tall, I don't know how many pounds, 14 arms, maybe 20 arms. They had 5 fingers on each arm with an opposable thumb. There are 4 lumpers left. Big old Harry, big old Mary, their 2 sons, little old Harry and little old Frank. Little old Harry, he had a weapon that, you know, he'd been using for a long time. I mean, he wielded other weapons too. His main weapon was a broadsword. Little old Frank, you know, his weapon was a, you know, he was slightly shorter. You know, he was pubescent, but you know, he's still a good fighter. But he preferred more to shoot with bows and arrows. You know, attack from a distance and, you know, up front. I mean, he was a decent melee fighter, but his brother was really the superior melee fighter in hand-to-hand combat. They did have their own form of lumper martial arts. It's called lumper arts.
Called Heidi. We can't find your standing order form, and it says that you can have it or not.
That's fine.
We're waiting for her to call back.
All right.
So, are you occupied on the computer?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to start vacuuming. Do you want to bring it into your room or something?
Can you just give me 1 minute?
Yeah. Just yell for me when I can come back down, okay?
Okay. Anyway. Big old Mary, big old Harry, little Frank. Big ol' Harry gave little Frank a gem that granted him the powers of a demigod to summon monsters, summon magic, summon rainstorms, thunderstorms, fart storms, you know, all that jazz. Big old Harry gave his eldest son, little old Harry, a sword called mythril. Mythril was a combination of the word mythril and Glossarius. Glossarius is kind of it's a strong metal, mystical metal, whatever. Mix it with mythril, you get mythril. Mythril is a magical metal, give it enchantment. But when you mix Glossarius and mythril into mythril has can sustain powerful enchantments, and on this particular sword that mythril, blue mythril alloy, is an enchantment that can slay up to 4 demigods. Now they didn't know if the dead men were commanded, you know, if their commanders, that their top generals were demigods or just regular moral commanders. But if they were demigods, little old Harry had the power to slay 10 of them. His little brother had the power to depending on how much power was in the mystical gem that his father gave him, there's a lot of power in it. It bore the souls of countless slain lumpers, their spiritual power granted and strength of a demigod for an indefinite amount of time. But with that power, he could slay a lot more than just 10. But old Harry, he embraced the way of the sword lumper. So he fought, he was more of a melee fighter, He was a frontline fighter while his brother backed him up with spells, magic, summoning monsters, all that good stuff. Anyway, that's the end of The Old Harry and the Lumpers, Part 1. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you around for The Old Harry and the Lumpers, Part 2. Hope you enjoyed my story and my bullshit disclaimer, and I hope you enjoyed the commercials and the spam that follows. Thank you.